Drones are still in the sky over New Jersey, and they've kind of branched off into some other states. So this week, the Jackalopes will continue to explore the drones of New Jersey.
This week's episode of Jackalopes Explore is brought to you by Cloud Peak Center Lanes and Games, located at 1520 Coffeen Avenue in Sheridan. Stop in today to check out their amazing new arcade and prize counter, offering games and prizes for all ages and skill levels. From their full-service lounge to bowling alley and arcade, there is something for everyone. Cloud Peak Center Lanes and Games. Stop in today.
I'm Floyd Whiting.
I'm Aaron Linden.
I'm Steve Sisson.
And we are your Jackalopes.
No Emmy today.
No Emmy today. She is actually
scared of drones.
She's scared of drones.
She's had enough of the drones already.
Who hasn't?
She's at work at another job. But one thing, we went into these drones. If you haven't seen part one, I suggest jump on over there, give it a watch, give it a like, and subscribe if you could. Helps us out. The drones have been in the news, I'd say, since the beginning of December. But if I remember correctly, and Aaron, correct me if I am wrong, these things have been being reported since November?
We're going into our second drone month.
Yeah.
So you have like the 12 days of Christmas. You got like the 60 days of drones.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
guess. I don't really know how that works yet. It's kind of new. It's fresh.
Yeah, it's a new tradition we're starting.
It's the amount of the drones, it's the size of the drones, it's where these drones are flying, and it's the fact that the U.S. government keeps telling us they don't know what they are.
Well, the
They
thing
don't know where they come from.
blew my mind. There's so much of this that blows my mind. But they said that they had over 5,000 calls over the course of like a 2-week, 3-week period, of which 100 led to actual, we don't know. The rest were helicopters, stars,
Right.
commercial drones, hobbyist drones, blah, blah, blah. Are they? Really? I mean, I get it. There's some people out there, I'm sure, they're like, well, it's a drone. And you're like, actually, that's Orion's belt.
Yeah. That's a
don't
goose,
have-
Grandma. Sit down. Yeah.
Right.
That's the light of the sewage treatment plant, Riz.
Swamp gas. And I get that. And then somebody kind of blew my mind completely, and they said there are no drones. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they said, think about where these sightings are. New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia. It's bright all the time. Like, these people don't look up. It's like holiday traffic, air traffic and stuff. And they're like, they're just seeing airplanes, man. Like, they just have never looked up. They're either looking at their phone or it's bright outside 24 hours a day because you're in the city.
I don't know. I would say if you were to isolate a location, maybe a percentage.
Sure.
I'll absolutely say that maybe a percentage is just that. And of course, there's always a percentage in any kind of UFO reporting where an investigator will find out, okay, well, it was this plane or it was this helicopter or something like that. There always going to be something else, a percentage of them that is completely explainable. And there is the idea of mass hysteria.
Oh, absolutely.
That once this fire's lit, holy shit, step back and watch the people go, right?
Well, and that was kind of what they thought was they're like, it was one crazy person on TikTok that took, they're like in a city. They're like, look at this thing going over there. And then it was a plane.
And then
everybody else is like, oh, yeah.
All of a sudden it's a
it.
trend, right?
Yeah.
Everyone goes from doing this to doing that.
Right.
And I suddenly realized that there's a world up there. Because honestly, these are heavily populated areas.
Right.
This isn't out in the middle of podunk nowhere. There's a lot of people and there's a lot of air activity there. We have a friend who actually keeps very good track of certain flight patterns, and it always blows my mind to look at his screen, and I'm like, there are that many planes in the air right now.
I'll send Grant some screenshots.
It's incredible.
Of it. We've talked about it before, the ADS-B exchange. So it's the transponders for all aircraft. Then you can whittle it down to just military or whatever. But when you have it unfiltered,
there's so many.
At any given time, there was one day I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, oh my God. And then I found this tab on the side. How many flights are on the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Take a guess. Now, this is worldwide.
Okay. At any time.
At any given time.
Worldwide.
Approximate 500.
Right. 3,900.
3,900
flights.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, there's probably
insane. Like when you look at the map, if you don't zoom in, it's just
planes.
red.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I think I've read somewhere that at any given time there's like 10,000 people in the air.
Oh, I believe
that is
at
incredible.
Least, at least.
One thing that I did want to kind of just touch on real quick. Do they call it Starlink, Steve? The Elon Musk's big geo. Yeah. Okay, so you can sit and look up if you're able to do so. Out at my father's house, which is literally in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, I can sit and watch Starlink just pass over and over again. And we were up there for an event, and we were outside with some of my friends, and not all of my Army brothers had really looked up at a sky like that, because when it's completely dark,
it's a whole different deal.
It's a whole different viewscape.
Yeah.
And they were like, what the hell? They're like, what are these things? They'd never seen that before. And so if you haven't, and I'm not saying that's what these drones are, okay, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, if you don't look up regularly or know what's in the air, and then you learn that how much stuff's in the air, holy cow. I mean, how many satellites? There are
there's thousands of them.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands.
You can look up, and out here where it gets dark, you can look up, and it'll take a minute or two before you see something like that.
Yeah.
There's enough of that stuff going on all the time.
Yeah,
Every
you're
night.
always going to see it.
The last dog outing of the evening, I hit the back door and I go like, and yes, you will see a satellite. You'll see the International Space Station. That one's pretty easy to pick out because it's ripping across the sky.
Yeah, and it's really bright if it's right after sunset.
Really bright.
Before sunrise.
But there's a lot of stuff in the sky.
Yep.
But I've seen Starlink.
Right.
These videos ain't Starlink.
Yeah, and if you're in areas like New Jersey and stuff where there is some light pollution, a lot of that stuff you're not going to see at all.
Right, exactly. So if we have that much light pollution and I got a big bright object now, well, that sticks out. So to argue in the favor of the people who were sitting there going, there's something in the sky. We're not crazy. This isn't mass pandemonium. This is something that is really there. I've seen people record with big cameras, not just their phone, big cameras, and they're zooming in on these quote unquote drones, and the object looks like almost like a bubble.
It's like a plasmoid, is
like
what they're calling them.
Plasmoid. Yes, that's just sitting there above.
And
his
some
house.
of them are even like morphing oddly,
moving around. I saw one woman who was talking to it, and it looked like there was electrical current running through it, like responding to her.
That one was a little trippy.
Well, she got a little religious on that.
I know.
Like some people think these are angels.
Yeah.
And there is one particular video.
Some people think they're lizard people.
And I think it's an out of focus light.
Well, the only reason I bring up the angel idea is I'm talking biblical angel, not Christian, greeting card angel or Christmas angel. There's one video that has surfaced, and I don't know, like I haven't confirmed that this is part of the whole drone havoc, but this video is a round object with multiple, I guess you could say, circles of individual lights. So it looks like wheels with eyeballs. And one of these, maybe even two of these wheels, are in motion around this object. So it looks like a ball with wheels of light spinning around it. And it's just sitting there doing nothing. If we lived around the time of Enoch and Ezekiel and all the E's back in the day. But if we lived then and an alien drone, spacecraft, whatever, was in the sky like that, and maybe even was brave enough to be like, go down there, like get right up in their face and talk to them. Or if aliens were doing like what we talked about in previous shows, where they're like, we need to establish that we don't want these people to kill each other, so let's make up religion, and then we're going to go down there and explain this to them. Just use the drone to go do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You would think that was an angel. Especially if it just landed in front of you and said, I'm an angel of God.
And especially if it's hovering in the sky.
Right.
When things didn't hover in the sky.
When there was no idea that you could even do that, you know? So to see these things, what came to mind instantly was not, oh my God, The Return. It was Project Bluebeam.
Right. Yes.
Now, if you haven't seen the Project Bluebeam show, I would also suggest you go and watch that, because that is a fascinating conspiracy theory where governments the world over will basically fake an
False
alien
flag.
attack. They'll fake maybe a religious movement return, all in the effort to unify the peoples of the world under a one world government. And I know every conspiracy theorist out there has got, you know, their own private theory about one world government, which we pretty much, in a way, already have with the United Nations. We're
Right.
getting there.
So interesting that you bring up Project Bluebeam, though, because Grant and I, producer, shout out, because he's amazing and his thumbnails kick ass. But we were talking about it, and he's like, well, maybe China. I'm like, well, maybe China, maybe us, maybe UFOs. Because there's so many more reports that have come out that said not just that these are coming in from out over the ocean, they're coming out of the ocean. And we've kind of touched on that a few times for the, you know, unknown submersible objects. But how much better would it be if, like, okay, aliens are here, China comes in and they're like, well, we got to check this out. And we're like, well, we got to check it out too.
Right.
And it just confuses the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they go, well, we don't know what they are.
Everybody's got their name in the hat, right? They're all wanting to be part of
And
it.
it's all secret, so nobody knows what anybody else is doing.
Right.
Exactly.
And nobody's going to say, well, hey, we know what you're doing. You know what we're doing. Let's get these guys.
Yeah.
An intelligence Cold War.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
That's all it is.
But we will maybe find out, hopefully, because as of today, the FAA temporarily restricted drone flights in New York amid concerns over recently reported sightings. Really? Recently.
Yeah, right.
Recently.
Yeah. Last month and a
This
half.
is a new thing. Huh?
Yeah. Who knew?
All these kids and their TikToks
And Tic Tacs.
and Tic Tacs.
So 27 no-fly zone notices are in effect in New York until January 18th. So what I'm hoping is we get a whole lot of activity in these 27 areas where they actually then have some sort of authority, because that's what they've been claiming, right? Well, we don't have authority. We don't have protocol. We can't do anything. Well, you put in a no-fly zone and
Now
somebody
I can
flies in there,
Yeah.
you better have protocol.
Yeah.
You better do something.
Especially after incidents like 9/11.
Right. 100%.
You know, we do not mess around with that. If you put up a no-fly zone, I don't want a goddamn fly
Nothing.
buzzing through there.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Not even 30,000 feet above it.
No.
I don't want nothing.
Well, and
It extends to the megaverse. Like, you don't get to go in there.
I played devil's advocate a little bit in the last show because there is no law.
Right.
We live in America, man. If I got a drone that I paid money for and I want to fly it around, whether that be morning, noon, or night, and there's no law against me doing so, guess what I get to do? And if you shoot it down or you as an officer try to net it down, guess who I get to sue for damaging my equipment?
I just fly mine around the house.
Well-
Scare the animals.
It's the idea that once again, legislature has not kept up with technology.
Oh, God.
Think about the things that we went through as at the dawn of the internet.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh, we're still.
Yeah. I was gonna
the
say,
illegal activities that happen there, where they're like, well, it's not technically illegal, so we can get away with it.
And they've
Right.
never really caught up to that. I mean,
No.
they're always playing catch up.
No, and then with
Absolutely.
AI now, I
Oh,
mean,
my God.
forget it. They're so far behind the times.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Grant about this too. I'm like, literally, we're not that different from Enoch and Ezekiel, because we're looking up in the sky going, what is that?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
everybody's like, we don't know.
Well, the ironic
Like,
thing is,
are we cave people?
the ironic thing is when they send a drone back then, they're like, "Oh, it's an angel," Now they send angels, and we think it's a drone.
Yeah, well, you never know, man. I mean, like, take
God's like, come on.
I'm putting it in your front door. Yeah, frustrated father, right? These kids, these humans today. I don't know what to
I
tell
don't know
you.
what to tell you.
But Aaron's got a lot of research. I didn't do that much because I wanted to really explore the what ifs. So what if it's the second coming or God? What if it's spiritual?
Dude, people are so far removed, I think. I mean, we looked the other day at like just Christianity in America and the numbers that are dropping.
It's fallen.
Mm-hmm.
So many people are so far removed from it that it's a drone.
Yeah.
It's aliens.
Yeah.
And God's like, it's me.
That's right. I've been telling you about this for so long.
Well, and see, that's the thing. When you've got
There's books.
when you've got church leaders who want to blame everything on the younger generation,
Right.
where do you think your followers are coming from?
Yeah, right.
Homeboy. So you sit there with your older followers and you say, oh, these kids today, they're terrible. The world's going to hell in a handbasket. Come on in. Let's talk about how you're ruining what I wanted everything to be.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not going to join that. So yes, Christianity numbers are falling, and I didn't bother cross-checking any other religion, so they may be falling as well. It might just be something else,
But what if that is?
What if God
these
was like-
are a sign
right? God
and we're
or whoever.
all aliens?
Well, and
I mean, lizard people.
at what
specifically.
point?
Please.
You know what I mean? And this is something that I think a lot of religious leaders have asked. At what point is the breaking point where God's like, well, I got to get involved? Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, I can't do the flood thing again, but I could do drone swarms.
And again, that all depends on your religion. And
Right.
I don't know enough about each particular religion to really comment too much, but what people perceive as punishment or God probably isn't anywhere near the truth as to what this
Right.
omnipresent, omnipotent being would actually be. You know?
Omnivorous.
Well, he might be. Who knows? But so I think there's just so much that we have to question when it comes to spirituality. But we did touch on Project Bluebeam using spirituality
Yes.
and religions as a way to motivate the masses to believe in whatever is going on, right?
Yeah.
But you have to ask ourselves, have we gotten so far past the idea that would even work anymore?
Right.
I was telling my wife last night, if these are angels and they're landing in our front yard, I'm not thinking God sent these. I don't
Right.
care what I'm looking at. I don't
Right.
care what you tell me. I'm serious. I know God in my life. I would walk out there and think this is an alien trying to manipulate me. That's maybe the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing would be this is a government
Yeah.
and they're trying to manipulate me.
Either way, shoot it.
Either way. It's just the idea that this being an angel sent by some divine being is the last thing
Yeah.
that would ever come in.
Well, I think we're just been programmed that way, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we've been lied to for so long.
yeah.
Like,
And then you go off and you see these church leaders say one thing and get charged with another,
Yeah, right.
and you're like, nah, I don't want to be
and
a part
it's
of
just,
that.
there's so many different
Yeah.
lies, manipulation out there that you're like, them saying we don't know what it is. You know they know what it is.
Well, the thing is, I think you said this last time, is like, how can they say that it's no threat, nothing to be worried about, unless they know what it is?
Right.
Yeah.
They can't say, oh, nothing to worry about, but we don't know what it is. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, gathering intelligence is a threat.
Yeah.
Right.
And if that's all these things are doing, that's a threat to my national security.
Well, in an untimely event, this is kind of fun. Unlike the bright lit objects in the sky that have left people in the Northeast on edge in recent weeks, there won't be anything mysterious about 500 drones that are to climb toward the sky above Central Park on New Year's Eve.
Well, and that's a scheduled show, though. I mean,
The optics of that, though, it just made me laugh my ass
Oh,
off
yeah.
because I'm like, People are freaking out. You can't go online without seeing drone videos. And they're like, you know what? We need a drone show. We're having one every night.
It works great. I mean, like you look at some of the ones going on in China.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
As opposed to using fireworks, we use this.
There was just one in Houston. Amazing.
Oh,
I mean,
they're
like
beautiful.
kids skating and what? It's amazing.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
These things aren't doing that. They're not putting on those kinds of shows.
No.
Interestingly, too, as of today, December 20th, 2024, the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018 expires. So there's possibilities that the federal government is literally using terrorism drone mystery psyops against its own people in order to manipulate Congress into passing the new HR 8610 counter UAS, meaning unmanned aircraft system, Authority, Security, Safety, and Reauthorization Act of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, see what I would expect if there's some sort of government thing is we would lose a lot of drone freedom after this.
Which we've speculated about in the past that the drones that maybe some of us have, I'm not going to say whether I do or not.
Or whether or not there's a flamethrower on it.
Right.
Yeah, you got to register it.
Yeah, whether or not you should. Just flying around the house are so powerful. Like the cameras on these things are amazing, and you can get night vision, you can get all this stuff. Is that it? Is it a big grab where they just build up this mass hysteria to the point where they're like, guys, we got to take consumer drones away, and everybody's like, fine, do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're so scared of these.
Well, and there has been
that freedom.
There has been some legislation. I know that Game and Fish, at least here in our state, and I learned this yesterday from talking to an avid hunter who's heavily involved in local government, and he said, in our state, you can't use a drone over the mountains during hunting season.
Right.
Essentially, using a drone to go find
elk. That's
to
exactly.
go find
you
deer.
used to have to go and scout it. Or I can just
exactly.
Oh, there's a bunch of them. Let's go that way, Ned.
Yeah.
To me, that's cheating, man.
Oh, totally.
Go be a hunter. Jesus Christ. But if you look at commercial aspects of drones, some people I'm sure out there absolutely fell in love with the idea, and they're out flying their drone around, getting great aerial shots and having a great time. But they're not the size of a goddamn SUV.
Correct.
Right.
And that's the crazy part is like, so the movie industry, it's interesting because like helicopters and the rental of helicopters has gone way down because now they're just taking drone footage for like skyline shots and that kind of stuff. But even those, I mean, they might be like as big as this table.
Yeah, they're tiny.
They're not the size of this room. Like, that's insane.
One day we will have drones that are massive.
And I'm kind of wondering, like, what is the purpose of the size? The drones that you're talking about are bigger so they can carry, high quality cameras.
Right.
So what do you get when you get a drone the size of a bus?
Well, let me tell you.
What kind of stuff is on those?
Well, the U.S. military does it because it's got to be able to carry the payload.
Yeah. And what is
The
that
weapons
payload?
payload.
What we're going to talk about. This is my favorite one. I saved this one. What if, this is the one I really want to talk about. These truly are our drones. We're flying our own drones and scaring the hell out of people up and down both coasts now because now Florida, West Virginia, North Carolina, New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, California. Some are cropping up in Texas. What if we're doing that because we're looking for something? They keep saying, we don't know who these are. We don't know what they're about, but it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. But what if? And I haven't talked to anybody. Let me go here.
But you're talking the sum of all fears.
The sum of all fears is open borders, God knows, shipping containers, whatever. Something made it in to the U.S., something dirty and boom boomy that they were tracking, and they friggin' lost it. One of the alphabet agencies lost it.
The fact that a lot of this is taking place in coastal areas.
Coastal areas, dense population, at night when you can pick up better thermal and gamma ray radiation waves. in places that are incredibly populated with Christmas and New Year's coming up. We don't know what these are because we don't want to scare the shit out of everybody gathering in Times Square.
Yeah.
But we're looking for something. And the second they find it, things will be gone.
Yeah. And all of a sudden it's just over.
Yeah.
And nobody knows. Well, then they vanished like the clowns of 19.
Yeah.
They just poof, gone. And there's not even a meme about those guys anymore.
Just exploded
but they were the
into
whole
confetti.
thing. But see, that's the idea. It's like that's the way that we are today. If this is the true scenario, and we end up finding said object, getting it out of there, disposing of it, and then getting rid of the bad guys who got it in, they'd be like, okay, we're done.
Oh,
Boom.
drones are gone.
They'd stop it, and they wouldn't make a goddamn comment on it. And in a week, we'd find something else to complain
It'd be
about.
totally in the past.
Hey, you remember that drone thing happening? Where
They'd be
was
like,
that?
nah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the clowns. The clowns just vanished, and we haven't really talked about it since.
And nobody gave a damn, you know?
Well, it was like the balloons.
Yeah.
We don't know. Probably just, I wouldn't worry about it. Shoot it down.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyway, scroll up onto the next thing.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
You know, and
Exactly.
that's our minds are becoming very trained to that. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Okay?
I don't know that it's a good thing.
But I'm not saying it's a good thing either.
Humans literally have less than the attention span of a goldfish now. And it's all because of scrolling.
I think
no.
But see, technology like this ebbs and flows, and something else is always coming. You remember when we were kids, TV was going to ruin our lives.
Yeah, right.
If we sat too close to it, we were going to go blind. If we watched too much of it.
And now we put the VR lenses right here.
Yeah, you know, but think about
We just
that.
did last night.
But it's the whole idea. Something else will come along. Or even my daughter now. My kid, she's 21 years old, and she's just like, well, yeah, sometimes I'm on my phone, sometimes I'm not. Because it's not cool and new to her. She's always had it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Her generation, I think we got her first phone, I think, when she was 11 years old. So that she could call mom when she was done to school. Mom could pick her up and blah, blah, blah. And even then, you know, it wasn't like what they are now, where it's like touchscreen. This was literally just a phone. But she's always had that at her fingertips. It gets old, man. And it might not seem that way to Generation X or even the millennials. But I think, you know, Gen Y is like, there's other cooler things to do.
Right.
My daughter really loves like person-to-person interaction. She's always going and meeting her friends. She doesn't sit there with her face in her phone during visitation or whatever when we're all hanging out. She doesn't care. It's there. It's not there.
Right.
I think I'm on my phone more than she is. So it'll ebb and flow. Things will change. But yeah, I think that'll happen with drones too. So who knows?
My whole thing is, I mean, it's good to get people looking up at the sky. I always say that because there's cool stuff up there. Whether it's space station going by or something. There's always something going on.
And that's where the second coming is going to be seen.
Right.
It won't come from the ground.
It won't come from your phone.
It's supposed to be horns, man. Someone promised me horns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't-
right.
Yeah, until you hear the horns, you're
The
not buying
sky
any of
horns.
this.
Good to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's people that hear the sky horns. Trust me. But it's good so everybody's looking at the sky. But what I cannot wrap my brain around is literally it is 2020 freaking 4.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, either that's a bullshit lie
Which I believe it is.
or they really don't know. Which one's worse?
Yeah, either way, that's bad.
Yeah.
All bad.
Because if they're lying to us about something so dramatic that you can
That
literally
everybody's
walk
paying attention
outside
to.
and look at, that's all over the damn internet, then there's a big reason as to why they're lying about it.
Right.
And my wife and I had this big discussion last night. She kept saying, well, if that was the truth, because I gave her that scenario.
Okay.
I said, so let's say this is what it is. She's like, well, why wouldn't you tell the people that?
Yeah.
Because they freak.
Easy. Because
They
the
would
eastern
freak.
seaboard would disappear. People got to go to work. People got to take, every single container is probably getting checked, and we just don't know it.
I think I said something like, why not just make up a story that, okay, we're looking for something, it's no big deal. It's a little piece of mildly radioactive medical equipment, and it's nothing to be worried about. We're looking for it. Why not just make up a story like that to make people, okay, we're not worried about it anymore, and then continue on about your...
Because people don't have enough to do.
Right.
And, Representative Sisson said that it was a widget.
Yeah.
And that this widget does all this. So we're going to go find the widget, and we're going to research it, and we're going to make a video about it, and we're going to put it up online, and we're going to start a new TikTok trend, and boom, boom, boom. And all of a sudden your lie becomes so overwhelming that someone with half a brain eventually gets to it and goes, there's no such thing as that widget.
So in that case, it's easier to say we don't know.
And you know that I know that widget is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Now what's really going on?
Yeah, and you can't build the backstory deep enough to handle that.
Or we explore the idea that they're telling the complete truth.
Which is horrifying.
That they really have no idea what all these things are. That they have no idea how they're getting in and flying around without any kind of tracking or monitorization in any way.
Mm-hmm.
That we've got this new generation of maybe not representatives, because the House is still way too old and the Senate is still way too old, which is probably another reason why they can't keep up with technology.
Mm-hmm.
Replace your older representatives with someone new. Anyway, you get this new generation in there who, like I said before, I think at the last show, who were like, I'm done lying. Why are you guys creating all these bullshit stories when all you got to do is just tell the people you don't know? They'll accept that.
And then we don't.
Well,
we completely
and then we don't.
Because we're like, you're liars.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Some people, some of the time. You're never going to get all the people.
Right.
You're never going to get all the people some of the time. That's just the way it is.
It's just, you go with congressional hearings, and then you go with drone sightings, and then you go with, and it's like, what is this building into?
Beam. Blue Beam.
Project Blue Beam.
Yeah.
Project Blue Beam.
Really, or just full-on disclosure.
Which
where
would be
a year from now, we're sitting here going, we have an alien with us now. Like it's just no big deal.
What do you think about this new blah, blah, blah? Man, that'd be fat. That'd be cool, though. I heard they stink, though, so, yeah.
Well, maybe we stink to them.
They stink, yeah.
Racist.
They smell like
you speciesist.
Yeah.
I'm
a scentist.
Man, wouldn't that be awesome, though? Like, maybe even 20 years from now to look at each other and be like, man, you remember when we thought these guys were fake?
Right.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
But I'm hopeful that would happen, but are we as a species even at the point where it's like a moment of enlightenment? Okay. You remember, like, the Renaissance was something special where mankind suddenly almost seemed like we all woke up together.
Right.
Yes, it was very focused in certain areas, but I think it's because those areas had, resources to really accomplish some new fantastic ideas that would eventually become the world that we know. But are we at a point where an alien species who's been watching us for so long and maybe even sparked the Renaissance, maybe has systematically stopped by every once in a while and been like, okay, phase 4, let's do it. Boom, there we go. We brought him out of the cave. We performed 67 different DNA experiments on him. We've got him up to this point, but God, they won't let that go.
They're just stagnant.
They're just stagnant. So let's go ahead and spark it again. And then all of a sudden you've got a Leonardo,
right,
Da Vinci that suddenly arises
not
out of the fire. Not DiCaprio.
He's already been here.
Yeah.
But you get these historical figures who suddenly show up and they're different and their ideas really usher us into this new age. Or that happens on a grand scale because there's like this universal, almost as if we're all connected somehow.
String theory?
Right. Where even in different parts of the world, relatively at the same time, we get something.
Quantum entanglement.
Where all of a sudden we're like, holy crap, that's a great idea. That'll change our society as we know it. Let's do it. Boom. Fantastic. And then we all move forward together. It's just odd that does happen. Are we at a point where that could possibly take place and where the aliens are here now, where they're like, maybe we should just fuck it, land, man.
Yeah,
let's just go shake some
Bring
hands.
it out. Bring them out.
Get your
March 'em
t-shirt
out.
on and let's get,
Just keep the lizard people behind for a little while because they're scary.
Yeah.
You do that in stages.
But
put your shoes on. We're here.
wake up. The thing that really, it's always in the movies, whatever, like they go to Washington D.C. because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, take me to your
Take
leader.
me to your
right?
leader.
Yeah,
They're not like, hey, where's Putin or Xi? They're like, no, over here.
obviously.
Yeah.
But so I started looking into that. Like, are we just not hearing about this happening in China or Norway? Or like, why is it concentrated on our coasts?
Hopefully they touch base with the Swiss first.
You would think.
Honestly.
Not the French.
Yeah, no.
They'd just be like, we surrender. So I'm looking around and I cannot find anything about this happening anywhere else. And I don't know if that's just because they're not as into it or it's just not happening, which then again leads me to why is it looking at the coasts?
Yeah. Yeah. Why is it so centralized?
Yeah.
And in one country.
Well,
You'd
and that
think
was
like, who doesn't want to check out Rio? Like, let's go
Right.
down there.
Well, yeah, you think about it. Like, if it's an awakening of humanity, New Jersey is not where you think that would start.
That is the most valid point of this entire show.
I dated a girl from New Jersey, and I think she'd agree with you. So I think we can laugh at that one pretty good.
And the Renaissance of 2025 began.
Certain episodes
In
of a
Newark.
show from MTV just happened to start hitting the aliens, and they were like, I like that hairstyle.
Right.
Let's hit the coast, boys.
Right.
Woo! High five me. Crack that open. Come on.
Yeah, so how far would those radio waves have reached by now? That's where we need to be
Yeah,
looking.
right.
We're going to Jersey.
Yeah, and the seaboard is what it used to be.
God.
But like, that's the part that I cannot wrap my mind around is it's just there. Well, it's not just there. I mean, it's coasts, whatever, but it's just the U.S. so far. Why?
And
unless there's something that something or one is really, really looking for. Why? Why the concentration?
Well,
And I mean, like in the last video, Grant put up one of the videos where, I mean, the gal pans out and there's like 8 of them. And they're doing their own thing. Like, it's not Starlink. You know it's not Starlink.
I've seen
What
a
are they
lot
doing?
of people put up like, Biden pardoned this person, and then all of a sudden drones. Dude, I'm gonna tell all the people posting that garbage this. They've pardoned a lot worse.
Oh,
That kind of shit, they're not very worried. Because what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Get
Right.
mad?
Well, and I read things about that too. That like, okay, so bird flu is on the rise, right? These things are flying around spraying bird flu.
Why would you
Okay.
do that?
Why
Right?
would you let stuff out of a lab somewhere? I don't know. I mean, but and then they go, oh well, it's so that there isn't a peaceful transition of power come January. I'm like, no.
How is this going to
Let's
affect
not
that?
confuse one thing with another. And
Yeah.
like, I get you're stretching your yarn between your little theories and stuff, and that's fine. I love that. But this is a wholly separate thing.
Yeah.
In my assessment, then it's a drone swarm spraying bird flu on people, or it's so that there's no transition of power. Could it easily be, hey, look at this shiny object because we're doing all this nefarious shit down here? Maybe. I really think that they are desperately searching for something. And I would not be surprised if within the next week or two, it goes away.
Yeah,
like,
because
just
they'll get it found,
Leaps off and it's done.
and then all of a sudden it's just over.
Well, if that's the case, that's the best possible outcome.
Absolutely.
Because if they keep searching, or if they don't find it,
Right. Or if
That's-
more show up
yeah.
Yeah,
that aren't the 500 over Central Park.
right. Then you get a problem. But it sounds like they're at least trying to address it on some level at this, by saying, look, here's some no-fly zones, here's some drone no-fly zones. You put those kinds of rules into place before you get laws written on the books.
Yeah.
And you know that going forward, quite possibly, someone will come forward and say this was all just a conspiracy so they could make legislation against the drone. Or they're going to respond heavily because whatever's going on. They don't know what it is. And I'm sure that there are at least some lawmakers who find that to be very uncomfortable.
Well, that's the thing.
I would.
Like, if they truly do not know, why the hell do you not know? What else don't you know?
Yeah. Well, my point is, I would bring in my people and I'd say, start writing up laws.
Right.
I want to see multiple bills put on my desk before I take them to the floor. And I want to read through these things. We have to have legislation saying that you can fly at this time, you can fly over here, you can fly over there. You can't have these things in your yard. If I own the land, do I own the airspace too? Does anybody know that? Or is it just all U.S. airspace?
I know that, I believe that the only airspace that is owned is governmental.
Right.
And whether
Okay.
that's a national park or Forest Service or military installation, those are
Then we do it on
their
the
own
local
things.
level.
Yeah,
Then city council members
Right.
sit down and go, you can fly your drones all over this park. You can fly your drones all over this area. I don't want to see it in any residential neighborhoods, peeking in through people's windows and getting involved in someone else's business and using it to stalk, spy, or take something from somebody else.
right.
Local governments get involved. They tend to take action and implement rules, ordinances, laws quicker anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Always quicker at the local
it's
level.
always quicker at the local level. So I would say when we start seeing that, then I wouldn't be worried. I'm not a drone enthusiast though either, you know.
Right, right.
But even if you are a drone enthusiast and they're like, you're not allowed to use your drone to look into people's windows or stalk this woman, and you go, well, that's a bullshit.
Right.
Then why do you have a drone?
Yeah, what are you
You're
doing
a criminal
anyway?
then. You know what I mean?
But like the no-fly zones to me, in a way, are like, okay, it's been a month. We're into like literally the 5th week of this nonsense. And it's like doing something to do something that means nothing in a way.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, we're moving things forward. I heard one report on the news yesterday, and they said we've dispatched anti-drone teams. From where? Like, how long does that take?
And who is that? What does that even mean?
Right. I don't know, but I'm going to start an LLC and I'm going to be an anti-drone team, and I'll get there and then they'll disappear. And I'll be like, damn.
You know, there's money to be made here.
Oh, yeah.
And you are a thinker. I say we do that.
I say we go.
Anti-drone teams.
We could be there tomorrow.
We
Like,
could just come up with BS and no one would know. You know, you're like, well, I got this old soccer net that I throw up in there.
Yeah.
Anti-drone team.
Yep.
Show me one better. You can't.
You can't. They aren't there. But they're like, we've dispatched them. And
Yeah.
that was it. We've dispatched them.
Once again, what is this? This is them patting us on the head.
Right.
Going, don't worry, sweetheart. The
There's a
sun will
team.
come up tomorrow.
Our top men.
Our top men.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, you've dispatched the teams. You know, the saying now is like, say less, you know,
Yeah.
say more.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Where are they coming from? Who are they? What's their credentials? What are they going to do?
What equipment do they have? Even if it's secret, just be like, well, we got some top secret stuff. Cool. Right on.
Awesome.
I'm with you. I don't want to know about it, but go use it.
Here's the crazy thing. I watch like Skinwalker Ranch, right? On, I don't even know what it's on, Discovery. That's a private dude with a team of guys that acts immediately on everything.
Yeah.
Like they see something, they're like, oh, shoot rockets through it,
Respond,
do this, do
yeah.
that, yeah, whatever. We can't do that as a country? Like we can't organize to find out what these are? Call the guys from Skinwalker Ranch and get them over
They'll
there.
have
Like,
a team.
God.
You know, or like I'm sure on some level there is a task force or a squad
The X-Files people.
that is specifically trained for foreign drone control.
You would think, right?
You would think. There's too many militaries in the world that have access, and I know China has drones. So I know that the United States, on some level, has got to have someone who's like, I'm the top guy on drones. I've got a team that can take these sons of bitches out of the air now. And I'll bet if he doesn't know what's going on, he or she, they may be already knocking on people's doors. And the people who do know what's going on are like, you're not needed here.
Yeah, right.
Don't look in there. But no, thanks, though. You do great. You do good work. Okay, go stand over there, okay? See what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
We got to have someone.
But that's why it kind of all points back to that last theory of they're looking for something, because you can't tell me that there aren't those people. And if there are those people, why have they not been dispatched? Like, why is that guy or girl, whatever, not out at the podium at the Pentagon going, well, I'm on it?
Yeah.
Because
Even if
they've
you
never said we're on it. They just go, we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you going to find out? Well, we have our top men. Really? Do you? Where? Who is that? Where are they?
Because
Well, we've dispatched teams. Show me.
if you were the government right now, what would you have done?
Oh, I'd have divulged everything. That's why I'm not in the government.
That's why he's not there.
Yeah.
That's why we're not involved in government. Yeah. But like seriously though, all these drones start flying over your eastern seaboard, where a huge majority of shipping comes in, or you've got people immigrating in here
And
every day.
supposedly, I don't know if this is actual fact or not, but I've heard it several times. New Jersey, like per capita, is the most populated state in the country. Like for the size of
Right,
it.
right, right.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I'm like, that seems sketchy.
That's
in
scary.
and of itself.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of people.
And that's a lot of people. That's a target. And so, yeah, I would be, if I was a government and I was running a secret operation trying to find something that someone had possibly snuck into my country, and I had these drones capable, let's say I got a submarine off the coast that has the capability of literally shooting these things out underwater, coming to the surface, spreading their wings, and flying inshore. You'd see 50, 60 of those in one shot. Pop, 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 pop. And then when the people came to me and they were like, what's going on, Floyd? I'd look at them and say, I don't know.
Yeah, something.
But
We're looking into it.
I'm on it.
Right.
And you know,
you're literally on it because it's you.
Well,
you're doing it.
I can cook up a lot of different crap, and I'm sure there's a lot more smarter people than me working in the government right now who know how to spin shit. So spin something nice, run it through my desk. Let me give you the thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm gonna give it to you, Aaron, my face, and you're gonna take a binder mostly full of empty paper,
Right,
with this thing on top of it, and you're gonna go talk to the people, and it's gonna quell them, and it's gonna calm them down. It's the I don't know that is making me concerned.
Yep.
Right.
If you gave me a story that I'm like, well, that's probably not what's really going on, but you're not saying, I don't know, is that more comfortable? Or is this literally what we've been asking for years, where we're like, stop lying to me? And
Right.
And they finally have.
Yeah.
And then we don't believe them.
But then all of a sudden they're like, oh, and you're like, then why are you even here?
This is like the Expendables 5, the search for that, right? So, because what better time of year? Holy shit! How many Amazon packages have I received over the last couple of weeks?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dozens. That's happening on every doorstep, everywhere. If you got something in and you're like, just filter it in, it into the system. You're not finding that thing,
Even if it's shipped in parts.
right?
It's you got so much shipping, like you said. Those people are just stamping and moving, move.
No,
Get
it's
that
just
in the truck.
robots.
Get that on the truck. And yeah, it's a huge shipping. I mean, shipping has exploded
that's
over the
why
past
I'm like,
20 years.
How many have you seen here? None.
Yeah.
No drones in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No drones in Kansas.
yeah.
Yep.
So it's centralized in these places, but it might not even be there. Whatever they're looking for.
Yeah. And
I mean, it would make the most sense. I mean, like if you want to make an impact and you're a bad guy, you're not blowing up Wyoming. We
Right,
have less
right.
people than some subdivisions in Colorado.
Most people don't even know where to stay. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that theory makes by far the most sense out of any of the other possible theories. The only things that kind of stick in my mind are, is drones the best way to look for that kind of stuff? I mean, is that kind of the Hollywood version of if you're actually looking for something?
Great point.
Because there may be more secretive ways and, better ways to search.
Time-tested ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different strategies or just all of them. Is this a Hail Mary?
Well,
How big is the threat?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How imminent is the threat?
Well, and just the sheer number of these things. So let's say out of the 5,000, 100 of them were legitimate. That's still kind of a lot.
It is. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a lot of drones in one area that isn't, prior to a month and a half ago, known for being a drone hotspot.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I mean, if it had been like this for years, because they're like, oh, the International Drone Hobby Society is in Secaucus. And you go, oh,
Yeah.
and they're flying drones all the time.
Yeah.
Cool. Put on a freaking light show then. Do something.
Yeah.
Not just like,
Or come out and tell
terrorize
everybody.
people.
Yeah, come out and be like, look, guys, it started as a joke and it's kind of gotten out of hand.
Right?
So we're sorry.
Yeah.
We've taken our flag down and we're going to go ahead and leave the country. But thanks for the laughs. You know?
Thanks for the content.
Son of a bitch. You know?
I also think one of the reasons we don't buy the explanation that they don't know is because one of the common threads in a lot of conspiracy theories is we give the government more credit than it's due.
Well,
Totally.
and I agree with that. As someone who's worked at a very low level of government, you're like, wow.
It's like, you've got to know what's going on. Well,
Well,
maybe they just don't.
But see, at
Right.
the same time, I've had to go and literally sit on someone's desk and wait for them to sign a piece of paper that's been there for 2 weeks. And all it needed was their signature. Didn't need double checking, didn't need editing. All it needs is your signature, and we can get this whole thing taken care of. And it has sat there for 2 weeks. And so my captain used to tell me, you go sit on that desk and you don't leave until you have a signature. That's the way. And for me, that's government.
Right.
You know, when people are like, man, why is it so slow? Believe it or not, it's not the most efficient thing in the world.
No.
It's slow. People have got other priorities that are not yours, and they do what they need to do. Efficiency is a big thing in
I
government.
guess, like, if I were in charge, which that's probably at this point not going to happen,
as the ship sailed, Eric.
I think the ship sailed.
I just now realized it.
I think years past.
You run for president, people are going to be
and this-
watching these, and
yeah.
they're either going to be like, I am on board.
Oh,
I am
I will
all Eric.
disclose everything. You name it. We'll give tours of Area 51. It'll be the new Disney.
Yep.
But if I were in charge, everybody, I talked to, this is so funny. The other Aaron works for Senior Citizens Council, so I'm in and amongst the senior community quite a bit. Gotten to know a lot of people. Talked to a guy the other day, 90-year-old guy. He's like, what do you think about those drones? Like, I mean, it's from
Yeah.
that age group all the way down to kids. If I were the government, I'd be like, okay, everybody, coast to coast and worldwide, is interested in this. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, we
Take
gotta
the
say something.
resources and get to a point where we're at least like, hey, yeah, drones. Can't really talk about it, but we're within a week.
I've seen 2 videos where one of these things is supposedly shot down. And yet I've seen no wreckage.
No.
The government has said nothing about shooting them down. And one of these videos was extremely convincing. And we're not talking like, that's AI. I'm talking like they are lights way the hell out there. And he's trying to zoom in and he's trying to get a better shot for you. And one light is spitting out a bunch of
Yes.
other lights. And then all of a sudden just bam, hit like a missile.
So I'm just going to go back to this because I've been thinking about this. The dude that invented, and we kind of touched on WebBot, where he was using it to predict stock market changes back in like 2009, fires it up, and it's like, oh, aliens will fight aliens, and the U.S. will fight aliens, and aliens will fight with the U.S. against aliens, and it'll happen 39 days after an event triggers it. What's the event? Now, this is back when Joe Rogan was hosting Fear Factor,
Yeah.
and Trump was like, had The Apprentice or whatever, and it specifically said 39 days after Rogan interviews Trump, this will happen. Okay, guess what? This thing predicted like 3 things. 2 of them came true. This one might have been a few days off, but is that what we're seeing? Because I saw that video and I went, holy shit.
Right? And that's the thing. That ain't faked.
Is that the first shot in the war?
Or is it just another one because Operation Solar Warden has been doing its job and someone slipped past or they came in force.
Right.
And there is an I wouldn't say intergalactic, but a war in our solar system that we don't know anything about.
Right.
and we're catching like residual ripples from the stone thrown into the lake. And we're like, boy, look got a lot of drones, you know. Meanwhile, there's someone up in space crawling through a crawl space as an alien's after him, and they're like, you and your goddamn drones. You know,
You have no idea.
you have no idea. And we don't, you know, because I honestly, like the whole solar warden thing, man, there's a lot of evidence for that. Now, why would we put all those resources in place unless there was a real threat,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even a perceived threat? Space is a big place.
Yeah.
But think about this too. I was thinking about this when I was going to sleep because it's what I do. What do we do? How many rovers do we have on Mars?
Yeah.
Before we go,
Drone
send
it.
those.
Yep.
Drone it.
See what's going on. Does it look habitable? Maybe. Terraform? Possibly. Okay, well let's now send something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we're seeing?
Something
This is
bigger.
this is the forward team.
It might
And they're
be.
just showing up going, let's test the waters here, see what the reaction is. They're filming us. They haven't shot us down. Send the bus size one.
Well,
see what happens.
Yeah, see,
Like-
see what happens to the next one.
Right.
You know.
Until all of a sudden, it's like a scene out of freaking Independence Day, and the whole sky's just filled with this big ship, and you go, oh, crap.
Yeah.
You should have been paying attention to
They
those
sent
little
the
ones.
big one. But like, you know, they had to wait till now because back in the 1990s and 80s, New Yorkers were so indifferent. You know,
Yeah, right.
You could park right on downtown and they'd be like, oh, what are you doing? This is four-way traffic.
Right.
I got to get to work. These deliveries don't make themselves. You know?
There you go. There's drones in the sky. You're like, hey, I don't care.
Yeah, I do not care. Yeah. And
I don't know. I am absolutely freaking perplexed that the answer is I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably the most concerning part about it. But if the government is finally just being honest with us, I gotta give them, you know, credit on that too. Where it's like, yeah, if you don't know, come out and tell us that you don't know. But the same thing that a whole board of command sergeant majors told me once. You know, you don't go in here and say you don't know.
Right.
You come in here and tell me, I'll go find out for you.
Right.
Yep.
And I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
that is
guys
what we
keep that
haven't-
thought.
That's
and
what
we'll
we have not heard, though.
That's what we haven't heard. I haven't heard the government say, everyone calm down. Go enjoy your Christmas tree. I've got a handle on this. That's why I pay you.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, I hate to tell you this, government, because you're Skynet now and completely self-aware, but I pay you to do a job.
Hey, you had one job.
Do the job.
Keep the drones out.
You know what I mean? If you do the job, the majority of us are like, yeah, what are you doing? I don't care. What?
Right.
No, Snoopy's on, man. No.
Yeah.
Why are you talking to me right now?
They've
I'm
got it
doing
handled.
stuff.
They've
I'm
got it
doing
handled.
stuff. Yeah.
I can do my own thing.
I pay you to do that. I don't want to look over there.
See, I would, if I were in charge, that guy, I'd be like, fly one, get it up there. Now shoot it down. Oh, we got one. Yeah. We got it handled, guys.
You'd
Don't
be
worry
hitting
about
your
it.
own, huh?
I
Well,
freaking psyop the hell out of that.
maybe. Yeah. Why not?
Send up, what's the biggest thing we got? A box?
Now paint
Fine,
it
put
purple
up there.
because no one uses purple in
Right.
the flag.
Yeah, put some lights on it and shoot that shit down. And then I'd be out there holding pieces of it. Wasn't a weather balloon, it's a goddamn drone. We're
Yep,
after
there
it.
you
We
go.
got it.
Yep.
And-
We'll take it back to the lab and analyze
And
it.
then I'd be like, oh, I can go to sleep now.
Yep.
Yep. They're on it.
They're on it.
Boy, look how efficient they are.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. That thing almost looks like it just fell out of the sky.
Almost looks like a box.
They're so good at that.
Or at least just get a guy with like a broken drone standing in a field
Yeah. We found
and
one.
tell me that you got one.
Yep.
Well, again, you know, if we're asking for a more honest government,
I don't think we want the honest government.
well, see, that's the thing. So now we come into a whole
It's a
nother
whole
show,
cart horse thing.
right? Now we come to a whole nother show because it's like I want full disclosure.
We just want the answers we want. And the answers that we're getting are not the answers we want.
Oh, Americans. Tell me what I want to hear, even though I don't know that I want to hear it.
Right.
Right.
And then once I hear it, I don't want it.
Right.
Yeah.
Then I'm protesting.
How privileged are we?
Oh, insane.
You know what I mean? How
We
incredibly
just had that conversation.
privileged.
People that have never been outside of the country have no clue
Oh.
how, like, when you talk about first world problems,
Oh, yeah.
where they're like, I mean, just stupid. Should we get rid of daylight savings time? Really?
Yeah.
That's our biggest problem.
Meanwhile,
that's a whole different show.
Yeah.
But we are insanely privileged. And I think that that's part of this is we're like, well, I want answers. I want them to know.
Yeah.
By God, you better get up there. You better figure out what these are. And you better tell me that has no business knowing what these are.
Yeah. Agreed.
But you better tell me.
And 5 weeks is too long to wait.
Because
Way too. I can have Amazon shipped to my house in 2 days. I mean, you can figure out what these things are.
Well, and then you just, you get those people in the private sector who are like, I would have solved it
Right.
in a day and a half.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
I would have figured it out.
Get Elon on it. Jesus,
No.
he's got a bunch of stuff. Put him up there.
He's
with a
too
bunch of
distracted
drones.
trying to be president.
Well, but I'm just like, get somebody. Hey, I don't care who it is. Us. We take our soccer net. We're like, Floyd, climb that tree and wait for one.
There's a little laser pointer in the shape of a mouse that I use for my cat. We'll just
just a big PVC pipe with a net in the middle, and then the two of us just hold it up and run down the street.
I love
My
that
God,
idea.
wouldn't that be funny if that was the way that we actually did it, though? Like if somebody was like, I got sick of hearing this, so I put a nut in an air can and I walked outside and I shot one down. That's how I met Bleep Bloop over here.
Right.
He drinks like you wouldn't believe, by the way. Loves pizza. Anyway,
t-shirt.
drones solved.
T-shirt cannon gun with a net in it.
Boom.
I'm outside. Boom.
Because if you really
Potato
think about
cannon.
it, no matter how big these things are, every little propeller is needed.
Right?
Yeah.
If you don't have to get the whole damn thing, I just need to hit one propeller to bring that thing out of the sky. And they're not made out of high grade material.
I will say, I did watch a video, and I have no idea the legitimacy of this video. Could have just been some dude in Podunk, wherever. But there's a drone. I mean, clearly a drone. Like, when you think drone, that's it. Whereas most of these, the lights are way weird.
They're way off.
Way
Yeah.
UFO. But it's flying. And he's like, I had enough of this. And he's shooting tracer rounds out of his AR. And he is a horrible shot. Like, he's not even getting close to this thing, but he's out there just popping off. And I'm like, God, it's going to come to that, though, isn't it? I mean,
Well,
you're going to get Bubba.
What does Emmy say? Shoot the ghost?
Shoot the
Yeah.
ghost.
Shoot the ghost.
The problem is that those bullets are coming down somewhere.
That's what
See,
I said.
that's the thing, man. We can't all go out there and start doing that stuff. If you're going to do something, figure out a way to do it very Batman-esque. You
Right.
know what I mean? I want to see a batarang, a rope, a net, something. Leave the AR at home. Get
Yeah, right.
creative. My God.
Yeah.
You know?
But I don't know. I mean, we could go well into the new year and still have no flipping clue what these are.
But I will say this. I'm with you on your theory. If this suddenly just stops,
Mm-hmm.
we found it.
And we know that the world is safe.
And there you go. And they did their job.
Right.
Uh,
It just took them a hell of a long time.
if it's an alien invasion, this is the slowest alien invasion ever.
When you said that to me the other day,
They need to step it up.
If you can't tell, I've been sick. But when you sent that to me, I laughed until I almost cried. I almost went number 3. But it was like slowest alien invasion ever.
Isn't it though?
Oh, totally.
God, just get it over with,
Right,
man.
do it. Pop off. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, how long is it going to take you to put the yoke on my neck if we're taking this long to get here? No wonder you want slaves.
Right.
God, you guys can't get anything done in a timely manner.
Which leads me to believe it is the government.
You know, and before we go, I've got one more theory that I wanted to share, and that is, our good friends at CERN
Oh.
and opening
I already
up,
like how this is going.
opening possibly not just CERN, but other scientists throughout the world. And I can't remember the location, but somebody said that they had achieved some sort of collision that could have possibly opened up a portal. And
What was it? Higgs boson? Higgs.
well, that's what they're trying to really achieve.
Right,
is-
God
is,
particle.
Yeah.
More information on the God particle. But in doing so, they quite possibly opened up portals to other dimensions. We and here's the deal. If they're sitting there and they're like, well, we make little black holes. Are you sure that's what you're making?
Right.
Are you sure, though?
And how little is little?
Yeah. Like, have you gone up to a black hole and been like, yeah, these look really similar? I doubt it.
Right.
Mhm.
There's a lot we don't know about black holes. There's a lot we don't know about these little things that we're making. If we had achieved that and something came through, maybe some of these things are something else. And like you said, the government's like, well, these sons of bitches are all over the eastern seaboard and people are going to start seeing them. So start throwing up some of our drones.
Right.
So we can say they're just drones. Everyone chill.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what they are, but they're just drones, not aliens or an intelligent plasmoid species from
Right.
another dimension that we have no idea what to do about now that they're here.
Yeah. And there is some credence to that because if it was a fleet of like government operated things, they would all look the same.
Right.
And they don't
They're
all look
all
the same.
they
very
don't.
different.
And when I saw those plasmoids, man, that's where I was like, that is not a drone. And when
No.
I saw that, what looked like a biblical accurate angel sitting there with the things spinning and stuff, I was like, it's obviously a device. But the prophets from back in the day would have thought that was an angel,
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially if it landed and said, I'm an angel. So I don't, it's a theory. It's a possibility. And what's really weird is 20 years ago, it wasn't.
Right?
Right.
But now we have gained so much momentum in trying to understand the God particle that we're smashing things that are opening doors.
Because we can.
Because we literally
Shouldn't.
because we can.
Can.
I watched a whole thing on CERN yesterday, and I understood about 5% of it. It was about a half-hour video where they were just explaining Higgs boson and what they want to see.
Right.
Couldn't understand. Like, I knew the words. It's just the order that they put them in. I was like, nope, I'm lost. Okay.
Yep.
That thing, and I mean, I think we did one on CERN, but who came up with that? Like the engineer, like you look at that machine and you're like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
okay.
That's genius on a whole
Oh, my
different
God.
level, right?
But if that's where the drones are coming from, stop your machine for a minute.
Never know, man. I don't know. What do you do in situations like this as a public? Do you put your head down back into your phone, go about your daily life, pay your taxes, watch your television, and take your kids to school? Or do you put your head up and try to catch it on video and figure out what the hell it is?
I like to panic in the bunker.
Yeah.
I actually have a new album coming out called Panic in the Bunker.
Panic in the Bunker. You should. That's a good name. So once again, we have to leave this episode without any kind of answers. All just conjecture and speculation and theory, and some of them are pretty far out there. But here's the best part about theory: disprove it.
Right.
You got to disprove mine. So,
Mhm.
all right. Well, Merry Christmas,
Happy New Year.
and you've been watching the Jackalopes Explore.
Plasmoid.
Yeah.
Plasmoid.
I like it.